They don't get empathy. They don't get any of those issues. Why is that? Are they just lucky? Or maybe genetically, the other factor is not there, right? Maybe it requires two factors together to produce the disease. So for something like cancers, many of them are multifactorial. Here's one. What about behavior? Do you think behavior is determined by your genetics? Think about that for a moment. How many of you think that your behavior is determined by genetics?
I think it's partial.
Yeah, I think you have like genetic predispositions to where you can act a certain way in certain situations, but it's also part of your like willing control as well, so a little bit of both.
Okay. Behavior is difficult because there's more than one class of behavior, isn't there? The simplest type of behavior is called a reflex. Can you control your reflexes?
No, not very well.
Not very well. It's the thing about you have the least control over, but some of you can suppress your reflexes a little bit, right? Maybe with a lifelong of training, you might be able to actually withhold from, doing a reflex behavior. But when you're born, reflex behaviors are automatic. And then there are behaviors you're incapable of doing unless you're trained to do so, right? Those are at the other extreme of the continuum of behaviors. Learned behaviors have to be practiced, and if you stop practicing, you lose the ability to do them. And then there's things in between, which are really complicated. So behavior has some genetic component and definitely some environmental. Here's a really tricky one. This one's a hot potato. Most people don't want to go there. But what about intelligence? Do you think that the intelligence of organisms is connected to their genetics?
In a way, sure. At least partially.
Would you like to think that it was partially connected to your genetics? Would you rather that it was fully connected to your genetics? Doesn't matter what we like or want, the truth is the truth, right? What if you found out that your intelligence was 99% determined by your genetics?
That would probably mean I was pretty stupid.
What would happen if that piece of information came out?
Extremely polarizing.
It would be extremely polarizing.
The nerds would get all the babes.
Wouldn't it be pretty destructive to the way we live if we figured that exact percentage that your genetics contributed to your intelligence? Because there's a lot of things that we like to attribute to our own training, right? We'd like to think that the more hard work you put into learning, the more you go to college, the more you work in a trade, the more intelligent you become because you can train and add that to your age. But if intelligence is already preset, what would that be? And no matter how hard you train, you'll never be able to get above a certain level of intelligence. Why even bother? And then what if we go and start screening people for that the moment they're born? Oh, I'm sorry, your kid's never going to get above an IQ of 95. We have a special place for your kid. Enroll right now. Okay? So just because we can now accurately find and attribute genetic, allele types to certain things, it's going to start causing some trouble if we start trying to quantify those things a little bit too much, right? Don't you think? But just because it's out there, somebody's going to try to do that. So the point of multifactorial characters is to stop thinking that just because we know what your genotype is, we're going to know what your phenotype is. Because there are many things about organisms where the